Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring the Legend of Zelda is a beat-matching rhythm game based on Brace Yourself Games' Crypt of the Necrodancer. Cadence of Hyrule follows the traditional story formula of classic Zelda entries, asking the player to venture forth into Hyrule to overcome a foe and save the kingdom. This time, you're tasked with taking down Octavo, who has put the King of Hyrule, Princess Zelda, and Link to sleep with his magical lute. Using the power of the Triforce, Octavo summons 4 musically themed champions to occupy the domains of the Zora, Gerudo, Goron, and Lost Woods. Choose to play as Link, Zelda, or Crypt of the Necrodancer's Cadence, and use their unique abilities and weapons to take back Hyrule. At the core of Cadence of Hyrule is a beat-matching rhythm game where the player attacks, defends, and moves tile to tile to the beat of the current music track. All music tracks have a consistent drum beat to help keep you in time, but there is UI at the bottom of the screen to help to show you when to press. Frankly, I found it easier to ignore it and just press to the beat. For those less rhythmically inclined, there is an option not to have to play with the beat of the music, which makes the game more accessible. The length of your beat streak, how long you go without missing a beat, dictates the quality of loot that enemies drop, and the regeneration of your stamina, which is needed to perform certain attacks. Most importantly, it determines how many diamonds are dropped when you've defeated all enemies in a map tile. Diamonds are a new currency that you retain when you die. They remain in your inventory until you spend them on health upgrades, breakable items, and weapons upgrades. It's worth noting that if you manage to stay alive long enough, you will amass such an abundance of rupees and keys that it almost takes their value away. Saying that, it still does hurt a little to die when you have more than 1,000 rupees in your purse. On this adventure, you'll face a variety of classic Zelda enemies taken from past iterations of the series. Every tile has a variety of enemy types, each with their own unique and recognisable behaviours. Anticipating patterns of enemy behaviour adds an extra challenge to the beat matching core mechanic. After a few hours with the game, the basic enemies begin to feel a little bit too easy, so to increase the challenge, enemy colour variants begin to appear that not only require more damage to defeat than their earlier counterparts, they may even move more quickly and deal more damage to you. There is a great assortment of weapon types, melee weapons, bows, and magical rods. Each type of weapon has their own range and speed, and there are extra versions of weapons that have limited durability or will break instantly if certain conditions are met. 1 or 2 weapons and abilities are unique to Link, Zelda, or Cadence, but there are no circumstances where you must use them. In my entire first playthrough I played as Link, but in my second I played exclusively as Zelda where I could, using all the same weapons and items in exactly the same ways. My favourite weapons were the spear and Zelda's rapier, both with extra reach to keep enemies at bay. You are free to move to any part of the map at any time, but as you'd expect from a Zelda game, you will stumble when you come across an area that requires a particular item or ability. Thankfully, the number of times this occurs in Cadence of Hyrule is low. Most areas can be reached with absolutely no requirements. Most tiles contain a limited number of enemies, and when they have all been defeated, you no longer need to move to the beat of the music. This allows you to solve any remaining puzzles in that tile at your own pace. Puzzles tend to require digging protruding mounds of earth or shifting climbable blocks. Largely, these puzzles are very straightforward, with the odd complicated exception that had me scratching my head. Cadence of Hyrule is punctuated with challenge tiles that ask the player to clear a whole tile of enemies without getting hit or missing a beat, or doing it within a time limit to unlock treasure chests and Sheikah stones. How few there were of these challenges really made them stand out, preventing them from feeling mundane. Danny Baranowski of Super Meat Boy and Crypt of the Necrodancer fame returns to deliver a stellar score that incorporates Zelda's musical themes from games past. Nostalgia welled up in me time and time again during my adventure in Cadence of Hyrule. I was taken back to Hyrule Field, Gerudo Valley, and the excited 10-year-old I was when playing Ocarina of Time on my N64 for the first time. Throughout Cadence of Hyrule, I was delighted to hear and hum along to motifs I recognised, in musical styles I typically would not associate with Legend of Zelda. Heavy metal guitars, punchy electronic drums, and walking bass lines abound. Baranowski weaves them into a diverse score that is a compelling accompaniment to what is occurring on screen. The beautiful arrangement of Ocarina of Time's title theme shows Baranowski's superb range and understanding of what makes The Legend of Zelda's musical theme special. Cadence of Hyrule's pixel art style is soft, friendly, and characterful. Link, Zelda, Cadence, and all NPCs suit their surroundings perfectly, which have also been realised incredibly well. Enemy sprites are distinct and animate playfully. I completed my first playthrough of Cadence of Hyrule start to finish in around 6 hours, and my second playthrough in around 5 hours. My third, fourth, and fifth completed quicker than the last. By the end of playthrough number 2, in which I made sure to complete the map and unlock all items and weapons, I felt proficient in my beat matching ability, and I was confident that I could take on anything the game could throw at me. That's not to say it wasn't still a challenge. By the end of the game, I was still getting hit, and was relying on health potions and fairies to get me through. With this procedurally generated map, I will definitely be playing this game time and time again. It's short enough to be completed in an afternoon when I just can't get those Zelda tunes out of my head. I do have one small complaint. When you walk into a chest, you open it, and then walk straight forward to collect its contents. But a few times over the course of the game, you're given a chest that contains up to 3 quite important items. It is so easy to remain on beat autopilot and just move into the item immediately in front of you, rather than taking your time to choose between them. As you'd expect, a lot of Legend of Zelda DNA has found its way into this game, but some aspects have been noticeably held back. For example, in classic Zelda games, each temple has an elemental theme corresponding with the item or ability found there. Most of the puzzles incorporate that item and theme. That's much less the case in Cadence of Hyrule, which does begin to approach the use of the temple's elemental theme, but doesn't follow through with a set of corresponding puzzles based on that theme or a specific item. This makes some of the items feel a little underused. Overall, I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. It feels like Cadence of Hyrule wants you to concentrate on its core mechanics, fighting and moving to music, rather than getting bogged down in solving puzzles and activating switches. Whether this was a choice made solely by the developer Brace Yourself Games, or was stipulated by Nintendo. Remember Miyamoto asking Mario vs Rabbids developers not to use jumping in their game? It still works, and it keeps the game moving along at a consistent pace. My time with Cadence of Hyrule has been very enjoyable. Moving, attacking, and defending to the beat of the music creates an extremely satisfying loop of tactical play. I often found myself getting completely absorbed into a flow state. It is so refreshing to see Nintendo license out their larger properties to developers that specialise in a particular genre of game. I would love to see another entry in this series by Brace Yourself Games, or for them to take on another Nintendo property. I wonder which other Nintendo property would do well with a Necrodancer treatment. What do you think? I am more than satisfied with this game. Thanks so much for watching.